Hello everybody and welcome back to Kerbal Space Program, where we are currently warping. We've been at this warp for about 5 years now. This is our warp for bringing in the second gas scooper over to the Jool base. And of course the reason that it's taking so long is because Lathe is a jerk. Now I'm not expecting this to be the most exciting of episodes, if I'm perfectly honest. I am expecting this to be a pretty lengthy burn, as you can see here, 36 minutes, 20 seconds, on a single engine, so it'll be longer than that. We're going to bring it in, and in fact, I'm going to stop this time warp, and we're going to warp to about here instead, I think. This is the exit one, right? Oh, nope, this one's the exit one. Okay, we're going to warp to about here then. Fantastic. So off we go, and I do want to talk a little bit, while we're waiting for this warp to finish up, about the missing station. I don't know if you've paid attention to the description of this series, but this was always, of course, intended to be a prelude to a Stellaris series. This is part of my Ethiopia Through The Ages series, and there is a station that was generated in our Stellaris game at the very beginning of this around Neptune's moon Triton. Now, there's no Neptune or Neptune analog in the base Kerbal solar system. Now, I would love it if there was. There's definitely a lack of ice giants. There's no doubt about that. But there is not one, and I thought about it long and hard before I decided to cut that. First, we've been at this for a good long time as it is, and I'm pretty much ready to move on after next episode here. So there's that. And then there's also the fact that if we were to put a mining station around one of these moons, it would not be fundamentally different from the mining station around Moon or Minmus, and it would be located in the same location around, well, not the same location around Jool, but in the same system as this current gas mining location. So I just don't think that's necessarily the best bet. Note in T-minus 15. That's definitely sooner than I thought it would be. We need to start this burn immediately. That is actually lovely. That is actually lovely. I like that shot right there. It was pure accident, and it was great. Okay, so we're going to go up into 4x time acceleration here. This is going to be a long, long burn. Keep in mind, we're going to run out of electric charge. We need to orient ourselves differently so that we are getting better power flow. It's better. I'm not going to call it great, but this power situation was never going to be great. Well, at least now we are not escaping the Jool system, and hopefully our power reserves will hold out long enough, because, I mean, we're going to be on this side for a good long time. Hopefully our power reserves will hold out long enough that we don't have an encounter with any moons, although this inclination means that I think we're pretty unlikely to have an encounter with any moons. We are, however, almost out of power. This is not shocking. This is about what was expected. So we're going to lose power here, which means that we're only going to have the one engine firing. And even that engine isn't firing at full thrust. So you can see here, this is what my life has been for the past while. Very, very long off-camera burns like this. I decided to have you guys feel the pain for an episode here, but I'm not going to make you feel it beyond this episode. I just, I wanted to do this, and here we are. If only there was more than 4x physics warp. That would be nice. But alas, there is not. You can see here, this is going to be an hour and 50-minute burn. Even at 4x time acceleration, that's going to be basically a full episode. We're not going to actually do the full burn here, though. Reason being, it's simply not going to work. If we were to do the full burn here, we would pretty drastically change our orbit, and it wouldn't be what we want. So we're just going to go to approximately node T plus 15 minutes. And we'll just take half-hour passes on these burns. is the way I've been doing this. And it is very convenient that we're coming in with our periapsis almost exactly on the day side. We get good long burn times here, which is exactly what we want. And then while we're warping back to this side over here, that is, of course, when we recharge our batteries. That was always the plan for this particular craft. Stock KSP just doesn't have good power flow for running something like a Dawn electric propulsion system out at Jool. It just doesn't exist. So, that's fine. That is completely okay. We do have an hour and 44 minutes left on this burn. It's kind of insane. And we're probably not going to finish this burn this episode, if I'm honest. Yeah, I don't think we are. So if we're going to have an encounter with any moon, it's going to be Bop. And it would happen right around here. That would be the only moon that we would be able to encounter, except for perhaps Lay's again. And that would be pretty much right in this region. We'll have to keep an eye on that. So we are reaching the node right here, so we're half done with this pass. That is fantastic. I really love the way that Lay's looks when you're in orbit, in a close orbit of Jool like this. Like, that contrast there looks amazing to me. I really, really like that. That's very neat. So we're currently at about T plus 2 minutes here. We're, reminder, going to about T plus 15 on this burn. And that does mean a total burn time of about, what, around 8-ish minutes in real time here? Something like that. So, like I said, not necessarily the most exciting of episodes, but here we are. Honestly, I wouldn't have put this on this episode. I would have done it in between episodes like I have the other stuff, except we're kind of running out of content, and this is filler to get us to episode 150. That's the honest truth. That's where we're at right now. And it's absolutely great. As far as what we're going to do on episode 150, I'm going to have this ready to dock up, and we'll dock up right at the beginning of that episode, and then we'll probably do some sort of a finale with, like, going through all of the ships that we've made over this series, and talking about what we've learned, and lessons that we've taken away from each of those ships, where they succeeded and failed, things like that. So hopefully that'll be fairly entertaining. That's kind of my plan there. And like I said, this will get docked up right at the beginning of next episode. It'll be good to go, but you can enjoy some filler for now. It is absolutely wonderful, is it not? Oh, the power flow out here is so bad. But we knew that was the case before we even launched this. It would have been better if I had articulated these Gigantors, and I guess that's definitely a lesson that I learned in creating this. Articulate the Gigantors. That said, I'd probably have to be, like, constantly tweaking them throughout this, because they wouldn't automatically seek their best position. That said, we're mostly just holding in a spot here, and then we can tweak them periodically. It's not that big of a deal. Hey, look, we have a connection. That's slightly surprising. Where is Jool in relation to Kerbin? We must be pretty close-ish? Kerbin's here, Jool is here. Okay, so, I mean, we were closer. Kerbin's going this way, of course. We were closer a little while ago. This is not the closest point, and it's getting further right now, so we're going to lose this connection soon enough. We are almost to node T plus 15. That's fine. And let's go ahead and stop this burn at T plus 15. So let this burn continue for a few more seconds here. And of course, we're going to ditch this node as soon as we can. We're just going to work off of the periapsis, pretty much. So we're going to ditch this, and I'm just going to not have a maneuver node after this, just because we don't really need it for what we're doing, and, well, actually it is handy to have. So we'll put in another maneuver node here. The reason it's handy to have is because it drifts off of retrograde. So we'll just do something kind of like this. That'll be like 1,000 delta V. That'll be fine. And we'll go ahead and lock to that. A 33-minute burn, allegedly. I'm going to burn to like 15 minutes before this Actually, I'm going to burn to like, or rather warp to like here. 6 days. Helps if we're not on physics warp. We're going retrograde. We're going retrograde. Let's just fix that here. That is definitely something I didn't think about. And that's my own fault. That's going to be a big ol' burn way out here, though. So I think, yeah, we'll be able to burn that fairly successfully-ish. Let's go ahead and warp to that. We need to change that now, though, before this gets in further. If I had noticed that previously... That's awkward. If I had noticed that previously, then we definitely would have had an issue, shall we say. Or rather, we would have changed this when we were further out, and it would have cost less DV. Okay, well, here we go again. And we pretty much have to get this in one pass here. There's no real way around that. We're going to have to get our periapsis raised back up quickly enough. Yeah, that's going to be awkward for sure. Well, our time to apoapsis is dropping. We're still like 30 minutes from the apoapsis, so the node is a fair chunk before the apoapsis, and I didn't necessarily do that on purpose, but that is actually a good thing for us. We're going to be out of electric charge soon. How is our orientation? Awful. Our orientation is absolutely awful. Let's fix that. Okay. That's about the best we're going to get, I feel like. Something around there. Terrible power flow, but it'll have to do. I mean, we should have plenty of time to get this done, assuming that we don't get stuck in Jool's shadow. But look how far apart the sun and Jool is here. That's great. That is absolutely great. So we're going to hold this attitude here and burn for a good long time, honestly. This is going to be a very lengthy burn, and this burn is definitely going to be on its own, on 4x time acceleration, longer than this episode. On 4x time acceleration, this burn is going to be roughly half an hour in real time. And this is why I wasn't originally planning to use electric propulsion systems. Oh, wonderful. You know, maybe just for my own sanity, it's not a matter of, like, needing the extra time, right? It's more a matter of, we've got plenty of time, we've got plenty of fuel, maybe we should just do a quick time save here. This is right at the end of the series. This flight doesn't even necessarily matter. Maybe we should just infinite electricity. Not propellant, but infinite electricity. Just so that both of these fire and we have the thrust to weight, just for my own sanity here. Because I've been sitting here for the last, like, week, just burning these engines for hours at a time. Now, it can be done without the infinite electricity, and it would have been perfectly fine. It just would have taken much, much longer. Even at this, it's still going to take a while. But like I said, the only reason I'm doing this is because it is possible without it. I know for a fact, because I've done things like this off camera. It's perfectly viable. And also, it's just a quality of life improvement. I mean, literally all it does is save me time. That is literally the only thing that it does here. We're going to be moving so slow at the apoapsis, it doesn't matter. We would have been able to get that whole burn done, and it would have made effectively no difference at the lower thrust to weight ratio. This just saves time. So I think I'm content with that. I think that I can excuse this, I guess I can say. When we get back to the periapsis, which isn't going to be in the episode, I don't think, I'll go back to having it be just the one engine most likely, because at the periapsis, we're actually moving at our maximum speed. And so there'll be a pretty big variation on where in the burn happens, if that makes any sense whatsoever. So that one, it does actually matter whether we have infinite electricity on or not. But this up here, it's just going to be a time save. It's going to make effectively very, very little difference. So we'll get that set up, and off camera, I'm also going to need to do a burn to change our inclination to go with the Jool station. And I'm also going to need to do a rendezvous. And like I said, I'll have it ready to rendezvous with the Jool station basically at the very beginning of next episode. And then we'll get that docked up and then do our like retrospective. I think that'll be fine. So the node is going to be in about 40 seconds here. We're a little bit behind schedule there, but that's fine. Our time to apoapsis is a little bit behind that as well. Although that's dropping. You can see here our orbital speed is almost to nil. And that will start increasing very soon now. Technically, we just passed the apoapsis. But our orbital speed is actually still increasing right now, or rather decreasing right now, which is fine. I mean, like I said, it doesn't really matter what thrust to weight we had here because we're 3 days away from this periapsis right now. Like, a 2-hour burn wouldn't have substantially accelerated us down here, because at this apoapsis, we would have been moving without that burn at maybe 200 meters per second. It would have been exceptionally slow. So, just for the sake of everyone's sanity, let's just do this. Our periapsis has dropped to nil, and we have now started raising our periapsis back up in the opposite direction. And this is completely fine. Completely and totally fine. 600 more meters per second left to go in this burn. And we do still have a signal with the KSC. That is only 1%. It's probably going to go away pretty soon. That's okay. We don't need a maneuver node after this. We can do everything that we need without a maneuver node. It's not going to be pretty necessarily, but we can do it. Specifically, the rendezvous is going to be weird without a maneuver node. I may just wait until we have a connection. Because that connection is fully dependent on where the relative orbits are here, right? So by the time we're like here, we can just wait until Kerbin's like here. Not a big deal. We don't have to wait for it to be the absolute closest location. Just has to be close enough. Our periapsis is still negative here. That's fine. We're just going to continue pushing prograde for another 460 meters per second. Yeah, that's definitely going to be a pretty lengthy burn. I definitely didn't notice that we were coming in retrograde. I should have noticed that. That is absolutely something that I should have noticed. So now, yeah, we're coming in this direction, which means we're going to go this way, which is the same direction as the station. I absolutely should have noticed that. That is 100% on me, and I'm completely okay with burning the xenon gas for it. And if I didn't have you guys' attention spans to worry about, as I say as I'm making possibly the most boring Kerbal Space Program episode ever, like, this might be a world record. But if I didn't have you guys' attention spans to worry about, I probably would have just left the infinite electricity off, stuck it on the maneuver node, set a timer, and gone AFK. That's probably what I would have done. Gone and watched some Star Trek or something. Oh, these burns are really, really long. Even more long when we're out of power. Like I said, when we were designing this is not designed to be run, at least out at Jool, in long burns like this, but rather in short spurts. And once you actually get docked up with the station, that's fine. You don't actually need that long of a burn. But that's okay. We might want to adjust our roll here a little bit, like so, for optimal power flow. I know that we have the cheat on, but I still want to get that as optimal as we can. I mean, it's never going to be truly optimal. That's just a limitation of the parts in stock Kerbal. But that's fine. That is completely fine. So we need 180 more meters per second, and I'm not actually going to raise this up to the full periapsis here. We're going to keep an eye on this periapsis. Still in the negatives right now, but we want to stop that at around probably 400,000 kilometers. Or rather, 400 kilometers? I can't remember. Atmospheric, yeah. 400 kilometers. Okay, so that's where we want to stop this burn at. We don't need to go this whole distance. So we're just watching this periapsis, and as it comes up, it gets more and more efficient for us. So it'll be less and less time. It's not going to be a huge delta V savings that we stop this early, but that'll be fine. Here we go, almost positive in the periapsis now. You can see it's going faster and faster. There we go. We're now positive. 100,000. 200,000. 300,000. And 400,000. That'll do. We're going to come out of Time Warp. We're going to get rid of this. Do we have a connection? We do. So we are then going to add a maneuver here. We're going to bring that in to be somewhere around here or so. That'll do. We'll line up for that maneuver node. You can see how long of a burn that's going to be. I'm going to go in here and turn off the infinite electricity. Oh, okay. We're going to take a screenshot as well. And we are going to warp to this next maneuver, or a little before it, actually. Oh, yeah, we're coming in this way. Probably somewhere around here. And we'll see our electric charge fill back up. Fantastic. And we'll begin that burn. Not necessarily yet. We're probably going to have to take 2 passes on this, honestly. So what I'm going to do is I am actually going to warp to this maneuver. We'll get as much as we can done with this maneuver burn. And then after that, I'll finish it up off camera and get all that done. We do need to begin this burn basically now, though. And so we shall. Once again, this is a very lengthy burn. And you can see here our periapsis is coming up, but that's to be expected with how far away we are from our maneuver node here. But our apoapsis is coming down, which is the important thing. And as we're over on the other side, the periapsis will drop back down. And that's okay. It is, however, pretty much time to put a stop to this most boring of episodes. You can leave your offerings to the engagement gods if you are, for some reason, engaged by this particular content. I don't know why you would be, but, okay. If you are, I'm not going to knock it. You can leave your offerings to the engagement gods in the form of likes, comments, subscribes, and bell ringings, and I'll see you all next time for the finale.